There is a specific fork every successful person eventually reaches, whether to treat the climb as a purely individual competition, quietly viewing the people around them as either useful or irrelevant, depending on what they can currently offer, or to genuinely help the people alongside them, sharing real opportunity, real credit, real support, even when it costs something in the moment and produces no immediate visible advantage in return. Most people, focused on their own ascent, choose the first path without ever fully realizing the actual cost of that choice. And years later, when real difficulty eventually arrives, as it does for absolutely everyone, something becomes strikingly visible. The person who genuinely helped others on the way up finds themselves surrounded by real willing support, while the person who climbed alone, treating everyone as either useful or irrelevant, often finds that same treatment quietly returned the moment they actually needed help themselves. Carl Jung had a real explanation for why this specific choice, made quietly throughout an entire career, determines who is actually there when it eventually matters most. Jung believed that genuine relationships built through real care rather than strategic calculation create a kind of psychological reserve that only becomes visible during genuine difficulty, since a relationship built on authentic mutual support behaves entirely differently and die differently on strategic usefulness. People who are genuinely helped, without any expectation of immediate return, tend to remember this with real lasting gratitude, and this gratitude becomes an actual tangible resource precisely at the moment the original helper needs it most, often decades after the original help was ever offered. This explains the stark delayed difference between these two paths. Since a career built on purely strategic, self-interested climbing produces a network of people who owe nothing genuine and feel no real, lasting loyalty, while a career built on authentic, generous support produces an entire group of people who remember specifically and gratefully a moment this person genuinely helped them when they had nothing obvious to gain from doing so. If you recognize this pattern in your own approach to success, hear this clearly. Genuinely helping others on your own way up, even when it costs you something in the moment, is not naive generosity that weakens your own position. According to Jung's understanding, it is one of the most reliable long-term investments a person can actually make, one whose real return only becomes fully visible during the exact moments genuine support actually matters most. Here is what actually matters, and it requires genuine consistency rather than occasional strategic displays of generosity. The specific quality that builds this real lasting reserve is authentic help offered without any calculated expectation of return. Since help offered strategically, with an obvious eye toward future benefit, rarely produces the same depth of genuine gratitude that authentic unconditional support actually creates. Think honestly about your own career and your own climb, and consider whether you have genuinely helped the people alongside you, or whether you have quietly treated most relationships as useful only insofar as they serve your own immediate advancement. Right below the single word for the person you helped genuinely, expecting nothing back, whose gratitude you still feel today. Naming it is the real and practical way you start recognizing this exact habit as one of the most valuable investments you have ever quietly made, one that continues paying real returns long after the original help has been offered. Because genuinely helping others on your way up was never, according to Carl Jung's understanding, a naive weakness that cost you your own advancement. It was one of the rarest and most reliable investments a person can actually make, ensuring you will never have to climb back up alone the day you actually need real help yourself.